We're going to talk to someone who over the last, really couple months and really since, from what I've seen is since conference, really just a complete 180 in mind shift and mindset. And I've watched our guests today completely plug in. I hear from him a lot every day, and I know he calls Frank on a daily basis. Without further ado, Andre Brooks, if you can come on, man, and just kind of introduce yourself to the group and kind of let us know what you've been doing lately and why the massive explosion that we see going on from you. I appreciate it, man.
Appreciate you for the introduction, Mike. First and foremost, I wanted to give thanks to God. I understand that without him, not just possible. But most definitely, before I definitely get started, it comes down to like the leadership, down there, and we're in Prince George's County. And a lot of the growth is really stemming from the system that is really allowing us to be able to move very quickly and very efficiently. And I think one of the biggest things that really changed for us was the convention. What we did was, Mike, we got a lot of people with over 45 people to convention. So that's really what kind of like spurred it, and really started us to where we're going now and really seeing the growth.
How soon prior to that convention did you start inviting people, and like what were you guys doing to get so many people to the convention?
Well, I got to really give that back to Mr. Steven Johnson.
Okay.
He really kind of started that out, leading the charge, because he has a lot of people. I think he brung close to like 25 people just from, his group. And we started doing that, making a real big push, probably because the convention was in February. So we started doing a really big push maybe around like end of November, December time. Started really talking about, convention and really pushing that. Every meeting that we were having, we were speaking about it. Every time we got on calls, it was a consistent message. I remember looking at Andrew Taylor's, looking on his Instagram, and he had a gentleman on there, and you could tell, I don't know where he came from, but he came from some type of background in business. And he was talking about him trying to get 100 people to the convention that they had on the West Coast. And so we were talking about doing the exact same thing, just making a huge push to get people to convention. And, we did it. And I'm really proud of the group for pushing out, going out there and doing that, especially in the midst of what we had going on in the pandemic and still making that huge push. And so now we're seeing the effects and the results of convention.
That's awesome, man. One big thing that I've seen from you, and, Sean has always talked about, if you want to build a big business, it's important that you go out there and sell. Mm-hmm. And lately, the way I've watched your numbers skyrocket, mm-hmm. as an individual, has been very impressive. You're already over $20,000 for the month. How important do you feel that is if you're trying to build a business to be able to set the example and lead from the front? How important do you think that is for you to be able to go out there and show people that you know what you're talking about and you can teach them how to do it? What's your feelings on that in terms of if you're trying to build a big business to go out there and sell at a high level?
Yeah, I think that's, critically important. Especially where we're at now. Mm-hmm. Once the system and the infrastructure is in place, I think I spoke about it at the last regional. Once that was in place, it made it easier to be able to go out there and really sell at a high level. And it's critical because your team does 50% of what it is you do. So if you're doing 30,000, you can expect that your agents are going to do 15. So that was something that we really made a huge push for. So yeah, most definitely, it's critically important.
It's exciting watching you do that. Let's go back and kind of tell people exactly what you're doing lead flow wise and appointments per week. Let's kind of go through your schedule because there's a lot of new people that are coming aboard here and they want to be, they want to hit that vice president level. Mm-hmm. And, and we tell people all the time, if you want to build, you have to sell. So kind of go through someone who's not only building a team, but you're also out there producing at a high level. What are you doing lead wise, your schedule, how many appointments are you trying to set a week? How are you able to balance both? You can kind of go through that.
So, great question. So the first thing we do dial a day, run a day. So I dial on Monday, run on Tuesday, dial on Wednesday, run on Thursday, dial on Friday, run on Saturday. And the reason why we do that is because it allows for us to be able to regroup midweek and us to be able to coach throughout the week when you have a team. So us meeting in the office, us being able to talk and meet with our team weekly makes a huge deal. On a goal, I'm looking to set 8 appointments a day. So I'm looking to run 25 to 30 appointments a week.
Okay.
Pretty much. Yep. And I'm running different type of leads. So final expense, internet life. I mean, pretty much all leads work. So age, final expense, mailers. We had a girl that's in Michigan, Jasmine. last week she spent $200.
Was it Jasmine Spalding?
Jasmine Spalding. Yep.
Awesome.
She spent $200 on age final expense mailers after coming back from the regional and wrote 14,000, little over 14 grand on those. So
that's absolutely incredible.
Yep.
Most of the people that you have coming aboard, like when you have a brand new agent that's just starting out, what are you guys showing them? Like what kind of leads are you recommending they buy to be able to get a new agent off the ground quickly?
Well, I mean, we kind of just follow your play. To be honest, everything that you've said up to this point has really, worked out from a lead flow perspective, has been right on point. So we're telling them about final expense, internet life, and that's kind of where we're starting people most times. Low barrier to entry, not a huge commitment up front, but it can really get them going and get them, flowing into the process, how to take an application, and just really starting to see what the in-home looks like. So we just follow a lot of what it is you say. Awesome.
I appreciate it, man. It's funny. None of us here have anything that is original. All we do is copy each other, and that's what's great.
Copy and paste.
Everything I give to you is just something I take from someone else, and that's what I love about it. We just all steal from each other, and whatever works, we keep it moving. So, the things that I've watched you do lately, it's been very, very impressive. All of a sudden, though, with this hiring, if we can kind of go through that. What are you doing from a hiring standpoint? How are you guys bringing on so many warm market people? How's that taking place?
Really, to be honest, that goes back to kind of like what Steve has been talking about since we've been here. And that's really just when you get a new person, what are you telling them to do? It's all about what you tell them to do. What you tell people in their first 2 weeks is what they're going to do for their career. So if you're telling them, hey, look, when they come in, they're going through licensing course, because most of our people that come in are not licensed agents. Mm-hmm. So they're a blank canvas. So when they come in, we're telling them, hey, listen, you need to knock out the course. And number two, you want to start hiring from day one. Because if you look at YouTube, I remember when I first got started a little over a year ago, I remember going on YouTube and I remember like hearing this message over and over again. The message was, if you could go best, this famous question they would ask everybody, Dom Rogers, Mark Mead. I remember looking at it. And the question that they would say is, if you can go back day one, what would you do differently? Mm-hmm. And everybody had the same answer, regardless of where they were from, what they look. Everybody universally is one answer that kept coming up, and it was hire from day one. Mm-hmm. Most people, the biggest mistake that they make is, I want to come in here, I want to learn everything. Let me figure out how to get licensed. That's going to take you 30 days. Let me figure out how to products. Let me make some money first. Let me figure out how all this stuff is going to go. And then you're 4, 5, 6 months in. And now let me go back and start hiring. And it's not bad, it's just slower. So what we tell people to do is don't do 1 and 2. We tell them we don't do 1 or 2, do 1 and 2. Mm-hmm. So we believe in moving simultaneously. People can walk and chew gum. So we challenge our team to do it, and they rise to the occasion. So I'm really proud of them.
Awesome. Are you guys doing any cold market recruiting right now, or is everything still warm market?
Everything's warm market. We believe that you get great people from all over. Mm-hmm. However, warm market is where it's at. We believe that people, quit on friend. People quit on a boss, but they won't quit on a friend. So we really try to, indoctrinate warm market, and people are making money. And when people are making money, they setting themselves on fire and they telling their friends about it. So they seeing their lifestyle change. They start, making an extra $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month part time. I mean, that's a pretty good income full-time for some people. So part-time, a lot of people are seeing it and they're like, wow, what are you doing, et cetera, et cetera. So that is something that we encourage and push, hire from day one.
How are you showing the success within the group? Are you using social media, or is it just word of mouth?
I mean, a lot of it is word of mouth. A lot of it is word of mouth. We do use social media to a degree. We do use social media now more so than I think we have in the past. But in the beginning, it was just a lot of word of mouth.
So literally just getting on your cell phone and calling people and saying, hey, this is what I found.
I mean, a lot of people want to, I know in today's society, we live in a place where everything wants to be on the phone and nobody wants this body to body or talk to a person. Everybody wants to do everything online, but it's nothing like being able to sit here and talk to a person, look them in the eye, watch their body language. It's nothing like being able to talk to somebody and hear their voice. We talk to the clients. We're not texting our clients and to book appointments. So why would we text, or why would we try to, do everything that way when it comes to hiring? So we looked at it the same way. So yeah, a lot of that came from just word of mouth, getting on the phone, talking to people.
That's awesome, man. It's definitely working. Like I said, I talked to both you and, I've been talking to Steve a lot more lately, and I know he's got a lot of big players that are coming into the group. So that's pretty exciting. Yeah. What is that one piece of advice that you could give to an agent that's been here for a while? They're producing, but not really building? Like what kind of advice could you give them to start building a team?
What you focus on grows. So, if you focus on hiring, trust me, if you start focusing on it, it'll start to happen. You'll start to make decisions differently. You'll start to look at things differently. But it all starts with your mindset. What do you see when you see family first? Mm-hmm. That's really what it comes down to. And so we really, if I had to give one piece of advice, I'm talking to a new person, or even if they've been here for a while, I'm telling them, hey, listen, if you're here to get the vice president, I've never met a vice president that's done it by himself.
Nope, can't happen.
So we just always telling them, hey, listen, change your mindset about being intentional about it. When you get here, after you book your appointments, most people are done by 12, 1 o'clock booking appointments, especially if you're doing dollar day, run a day. Even if you're doing booking for 2 days, okay, you might be done around 4 o'clock. Well, you're in business. So business doesn't stop. Oh, I finished booking my appointments. Oh, now let me go home. Let me go do it. No, stay in the office, take an extra hour and a half, and start inviting, doing social media, start doing, talk to somebody like a Mike Pfeil or a Frank Euphemia or a Steven Johnson, somebody that's hiring at a high clip. Talk to those people and find out what are they doing, and then take direction and be coachable. That's probably the biggest thing I would say. Don't come in here with an ego. Be very coachable. Even if you think you know it, ask the question anyway, because the best winners are the best learners. That's what I'm noticing about Family First.
That's awesome. That's great advice. Would you consider yourself in the very beginning a very coachable person, or do you think you kind of have you changed since you come here? Like, has the company changed you at all? And the way you kind of looked at the people that were in the company, is things changed since you came here? Because I know some people come here and they think they got it all figured out.
Yeah.
And then after a while, then you start to see, maybe I should just listen and watch what's going on. I mean, things change. So would you say that you kind of evolved into what you're doing right now?
So great question. So when I first got here, I wasn't the most, when it came to the sales side, I was not the most coachable, in the beginning. But over time, as you start getting here, you start learning, you start bumping your head, you start making some mistakes, you start looking and saying, okay, and you grow to a point where you say, listen, I need help. Mm-hmm. I need coaching. Everybody, the best players need coaching. And so that was something that I did over time, kind of like evolve into and start to get to know people. And the relationship started to get built. Most people are not coachable, in my opinion. I know for me, I wasn't as coachable because the relationship wasn't there. Mm-hmm. A lot of people, for me and for our group, when we talk about leadership, a big part of leadership is having a relationship. Mm-hmm. You can't talk about, hey, listen, I'm going to come in and just be a producer and just expect people to follow you. There has to be a relationship there, because people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So it's just that old adage of that. And over time, as I got to see that people are trustworthy, mm-hmm. people like yourself that do really have your best interest in heart, because coming from different places, people get tattooed, people get, have bad stigmas based on their past. But as you start to get here and you realize, hey, listen, everybody has the best interest for you and the whole entire group and the company as a whole, it changes your mentality. And everybody takes that in different levels. So no, as the relationship started to build, I started to become more coachable as we started to talk more, as we started to communicate, I started to really be able to, and it took time. Mm-hmm. But as we started to see like what your true intentions were, things like that, they were pure. And everything that you said that you were going to do, and Frank, I got to give you all credit. Everything that you all told me you all were going to do, you all have done. And so it built a lot of credibility, but that did take a little bit of time.
Well, I appreciate that, man. What are kind of, in terms of like goal setting, like where are you trying to get to in the next 3 months, 6
board
months?
Member. Next 6 months, by the end of the year, board member.
1 million.
Million.
You got the people in place to be able to do it?
Yeah. We got some great leaders from Gene to Benaya. We got some great people down there, Jamal. We have some great leaders, Steve. We have some great leaders in place, and our whole team down there, really a dream team to really make a huge push. And I think, the biggest thing is not just one person going for integrity, but as a group, we're going for integrity. Mm-hmm. Every time we talk, we're talking about integrity. Every time we meet up, every time we get on the call, every time we talk, we're talking about getting a board member. And when you start getting a board member, you can start talking to integrity. And that's really what it is that we're focused on. So most definitely. That's
awesome. I don't recall you, last year at all, even talking about board member or anything. Why all of a sudden, like, what was that? What all of a sudden that seems like a light bulb almost went off, and you were like, now every time I talk to you, it's always about hitting this million. Like, what happened?
So, coming from day one, I don't know if you probably don't know. I don't know if I ever told you. So coming here day one, I remember getting on the phone with Frank. Kali had got me on the phone with Frank, and we had talked for about an hour. Mm-hmm. And I told Frank, I was like, man,
That's a long time to be on the phone with Frank. He's usually pretty quick.
Usually he's pretty quick. But I had some questions. Coming from the industry, I'd already had a license, so I think he kind of recognized I had pretty decent questions. Because the intelligence of your answers are based on the intelligence of your questions. Mm-hmm. And so I just asked him, like, what's the end goal? Because I like to start with the end in mind. I would never just get on the road, say I'm going to the store, and not have the destination already figured out in my mind. Mm-hmm. And so once he told me that, he was like, hey, listen, this is what you got to do. And I understood the compensation, because the compensation talked to me. So once I started really understanding the comp, it started really changing in the infrastructure, and we started getting the people, and it started coming together. And then obviously, the company started really talking about integrity. Mm-hmm. And when I first heard about it, January of last year, it was rumblings, but it wasn't as outwardly as it is now. People weren't like sealing it, weren't inking the deal. Mm-hmm. But now we have people that are all across the company that have gotten the deal. So it's a lot more public. So it's really solidified, and the closer that, we're getting to it, I'm looking at Frank, he's getting ready to get him. So I'm happy for him, his family. I know you're right there, on it, 600,000-700,000. I know you'll be there in the next few months. So as we get the chance to talk to people like you one-on-one and really get a chance to like see you and meet you, it stretched our vision to know that, hey, listen, we could do it too. And I think that was the biggest thing. And so now that's really what it is that we talk about. And once again, whatever you focus on grows.
That's awesome. For me, when I was talking to you, and I tell a lot of people that first 150,000, you could probably attest to this. It mm-hmm. is the hardest thing to do, because to get to that first 150, it's all you. Mm-hmm. It's your production. You're the one hiring. It's mm-hmm. you. And then I can attest to what it takes to get to that next level, that next 300, 350. It's mm-hmm. still a grind, and it doesn't go away. And people used to tell me this all the time, and I didn't completely believe it because I didn't know. And they would say, once you get above that, get above 350, it does start to get easier. And it is true. And you should be there in the next month or so. Mm-hmm. It gets easier in that you have more people helping you, but the work does not stop. The grind doesn't stop. I mean, we'll do over, almost 800,000 this month. I ran all weekend. Okay. I had a terrible day yesterday in the field, but it happens. It happens, man. I had 6 appointments yesterday. I have 4 no-shows and rescheduled, sat with 2 and didn't sell anything, but it doesn't stop. It gets easier in terms of the building because now there's so many leaders, but you're just about at that point. And that's when, and it really, and Frank and I talk about all the time, how it gets to be more fun. It's more fun when people are around you winning. And when people are winning and the people that you work with on a daily basis and you have respect for and they're having success, it definitely makes it more fun. So I'm just excited to kind of see, where you're going. You're right at that cusp of being able to turn that corner. And it's all about, just developing other leaders within the group and just showing other people what you've already found. And that's exciting. Are there any parting words that you can kind of give to the group, everyone that's listening right now on what your goals are and what you're trying to do and how they can kind of do the same thing?
Yeah. So, to piggyback off of that, getting to that first 150 was we were tracking for it. I remember what you said, cause you did say that. Mm-hmm. And, I remember thinking, he was on point. It was part of a credibility builder to me big time, because I was like, he definitely is right about that. But we had a great team in place to definitely help. And I would just tell people, like, just make a decision. Everything starts with your mind. So, even most people are finding, Mike, just don't decide. Like, even when you look at the word side, that is a word that means kill all other options. You look at homicide, suicide, genocide, just decide that, hey, listen, this is what I'm going to do. And then after, what you'll find out is that your brain will start to carry you there. Get around leaders. Those are the biggest 2 things I would say. Just make a decision, number 1. Number 2, show up. 80% of this business is showing up. If you don't show up, you can't win. I've never seen anybody win in the business that doesn't show up. And when I say that, it could be a Zoom call. It could be coming to the office, whatever your team has put in place for you to show up to, and whatever they have going on, just show up to the game. And it's always bigger, it's always funner the bigger you get. So I could definitely see that. It definitely is.
We have our grand opening this Friday. Or you guys are all coming down, right?
Yeah, we should be able to. I'm not sure, because I know I just remember, but we should be able to make it more than likely.
Got it. Well, I want to put that out there. We have the grand opening going on this Friday. Everyone that's on the call, not only yourself, but bring your team, bring everyone in here. We have Sean Mike flying in for the grand opening on Friday, and is really just about, I think, just coming to this office and seeing what's here. It lets you know that this whole deal is real, right? You walk in his office, you can kind of see things. So just bringing people to any event, and when I say an event, it could be the grand opening of the office on Friday. It could be a phone call. It could be a Zoom. The regional conferences that happen once a quarter, and then obviously the big convention. I've always just been a big fan of finding people and just getting them to the next event and just seeing if they can follow simple instructions. And even if that event is as small as a phone call, you can't even get on a phone call. I don't have a lot of trust in you. So
I don't get on an appointment.
Yeah. I agree. So, that's kind of always been my philosophy. I talk to people, and it's just about getting people to that next event. Yeah. The more you get around everything that's going on in this company, the more that you can see how real this is, and understand that everyone says it. We all say the same thing, that anyone can do it. But I believe here that it is truly possible. Anyone can have the success that Frank is having. When you look back and you see where we were just 12 months ago to where now, next month I have no doubt that we'll do over 2 million. It just shows you that anyone can do it, but we all do it as a team, So I want to thank you everyone for being on our training. We do this every Monday, at 12 o'clock. Please, your team, everyone, it's important, because whatever you do, your team will follow. So everyone, make it a great day. Andre, I'm glad you came up to the office today, man.
Appreciate you. Appreciate you for having me.
Hey, man, anytime. So everyone, let's have a great day. Most of us are in the office dialing, and let's make it a big week. Let's finish out this month strong. Everyone, take care. God bless. Bye-bye.